关注国际焦点，洞察世界风云。大家好，欢迎来到本期的高端访谈，我是苏韵。应匈牙利总统舒尤克和总理欧尔班邀请，中国国家主席习近平对匈牙利进行首次国事访问。此时此刻，我们正在匈牙利首都布达佩斯，即将在这里对话匈牙利总理欧尔班维克多。欧尔班总理如何看待习主席的此次访问？中匈两国将如何推动双边关系驶入黄金航道？中匈关系又将为中欧关系的发展注入哪些新的动力呢？今天我们一起在对话中寻找答案。
Prime Minister Orban, thank you so much for having us here in Budapest, and thank you for this great opportunity.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
You've been, I know, extremely busy this week since you're hosting Chinese President Xi Jinping, and you personally welcomed him in the airport last night. And this visit has been depicted by many international media as historic because this is also President Xi's very first state visit to Hungary as Chinese president. Can you share with us some of the special arrangements that you've planned for hosting your old friend, President Xi?
Now we reached a level when it looks necessary to give a new impetus, a new push to step one up more. That was very historical time to come to do that. Probably very few Chinese people know that, but I met your president first time 2009.
It's like 15 years ago.
And the president was the vice president at that time. Right. And he invited me to see each other in Beijing. And we decided that on a personal basis, on a national basis, and on historical basis, we will do everything to improve and raise up the cooperation of the two countries. We know each other very well back to 2009, and this meeting between two of us is the number 8.
Right. Is this the kind of personal reason that you just touch upon made you say welcome home when you greeted him last night at the airport?
Hungary is an ancient nation. Mm-hmm. As we say here, the most eastern country of the West.
And also the most western country in the
Exactly,
East.
because we came from East. We still remember, and many Hungarians very eager to maintain the memory of having an Eastern origin. Okay, origin is very important. So when somebody from East is coming to Hungary, especially with the high civilization for several thousands of years, as China, you know, mm-hmm. It always has a special emotional element of that meeting. So it's a good reason to say to your president that feel at home.
Prime Minister Orban, you've met with President Xi many times in different occasions, and he has referred to you as an old friend. So how do you view him as a leader?
I am convinced that the world needs strong leaders today. Now China produced, may I say, provided one of the strongest political leader of the world by the person of your president, which is good for the whole human world. First of all, I like his background as somebody coming from a village, because I'm a village boy as well.
From grassroots.
Yeah. And we know that, I know, your president is knowing that dimension of the life, which is also quite obviously known for me as well. This is a good basis, may I say.
Right.
The second one, that your president is convinced, as far as I was able to experience, that the sense to be a political leader, to serve the nation. The most important thing in the political job is to serve the people.
At this time, while we're talking, you've already held a grand welcome ceremony for President Xi, and you're also about to have bilateral meetings with him. So what are some of the most pressing issues do you look forward to exchanging ideas with him?
Because the most important issue here in that part of the continent, that part of Europe, is the war, and the question of war and peace. China and Hungary was never in favor of any kind of war.
That's right.
Because we think that war brings bad things for the people. So peace is far better, harmony is far better, cooperation is far better. So we hope that China will play an important peacemaker position or role in the future, as your president just raised several months ago the peace plan. So therefore the first issue we have to discuss, give more peace and chance for the peace to the world, especially in this part of Europe. That's the first. Second is economy, definitely. Mm-hmm. As just I have mentioned, on certain territories you are far the best of the world now. And we Hungarians would like to get the best thing of the world. Electromobility, mm-hmm. IT, railway. These territories are dominated by the Chinese companies and the knowledge at this moment, and we would like to be part of the advantages of your developed technology. And probably another point I have to mention: President Xi is arrived from Belgrade, which means Serbia. So Budapest-Belgrade railway project is a flagship project here, with your help and with your assistance. Without you, it would not have been existed at all.
President Xi's visit this time in Hungary coincides with the 75th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between the two countries. And in a signed article by President Xi in a Hungarian media, he said, quote unquote, "Our bilateral relationship is at its best in history and embarks on a golden voyage." So, Mr. Prime Minister, how would you evaluate the bilateral relations, and how do you envision in elevating this bilateral tie to an even higher level?
If you look back at the last 75 years, when we established our diplomatic relation, the first thing is that we were one of the first countries who did so. As just said, because we have a special understanding of the East, and we have a special understanding of China as well. And we never considered China as a danger. We always considered as relatives, friends. So through these 75 years, I'm not able to recall in my memory any points when there would have been any major dispute or confrontation between the Chinese and the Hungarians. We always invested a lot of energy to maintain good relation with the People's Republic of China. You developed a lot. So what does it mean? It's good for you, of course, but it's good for the world as well, because there is a new economic engine in the world economy which can create possibility for the other countries as well. That's how we see the cooperation between China and Hungary as a real good possibility and opportunity for the Hungarian economy runners, investors and businessmen, and for the Chinese companies also to come and to deliver good technology transfer, know-how sharing, and all that kind of good things what the Hungarian companies and economy need.
回顾两国75年的交往，中匈关系创造了多个第一。匈牙利是第一个同中国签署“一带一路”合作谅解备忘录的欧洲国家，是第一个开设匈语和汉语双语教学学校的欧洲国家，是第一个设立人民币清算行的中东欧国家。此外，中国还是匈牙利第一大投资来源国，也是匈牙利在欧洲以外的第一大贸易伙伴。自欧尔班执政以来，他将匈牙利定位为连接东西方的桥梁，大力推动向东开放政策。欧尔班曾经7次访华，连续3次出席“一带一路”国际合作高峰论坛。如今，在两国领导人的把舵定向下，中匈关系保持着高水平发展，向东开放战略与共建“一带一路”倡议正在进行深度对接。
Talking about the connectivity that you just mentioned, the Hungary-Serbia Railway, which is the flagship project under the Beldon Road initiative. Mr. Prime Minister, when do you think the Hungarian section of this railway can be completed and started operational? 2026. How confident are you?
Full. Come back, please, and celebrate together with us.
Well, because this time I drove, we took a car from Belgrade to Budapest. It took over 7 hours, in total. So next time, really look forward to take the train. They say it's going to only take for more than 3 hours.
Less than 4, yeah.
Less than 4. So next time when I'm here, I'll have the chance to interview you again.
I am ready to accompany you.
Okay, that's great. So talking about the Beldon Road initiative, I know you were in Beijing last year for the 3rd Beldon Road Forum. Actually, you have attended all the 3 forums, right? And you've called this initiative the most comprehensive initiative in world politics. So what, in your opinion, has made this initiative so significant, not only for Hungary, but also globally?
If you look at the world politics as a big picture, now there is a wrestling, how the world should be organized and how it should operate. One is which based more on isolation or disconnection, decoupling, and seeing risk in cooperation with each other. The other school is about that the best way to deliver peace, harmony, prosperity is the cooperation. Not the isolation, but the cooperation. That's what we call connectivity. And we Hungarians are convinced that you are right. This is the good thing, and how to organize the human being lives in the earth, ready to cooperate, and not based the future of world economy on decoupling and de-risking or that kind of negative approach. So Belt and Road initiative is not just because of good projects are there, but because it's a strong cooperation and contribution to the ongoing discussion of the world, how we human beings should organize the globe in the forthcoming decades. So that's the reason, may I say, a philosophical reason, not just the project-based national interest, which is correct, but a more philosophically motivated reason why Hungarians are always on the side of the Belt and Road initiatives.
What would you tell your European counterparts here, who are now, many of them, are adopting the so-called decoupling strategies towards China?
So it's a very philosophical question anyway, how the West look at themselves. Because till the last decade, the picture of the Westerners on themselves was a kind of ruling actor or dominant actor of the globe. Transatlantic cooperation was the number one of the world, unquestionably. But in the last 20 years, the world has changed. Newcomers are getting stronger and stronger, so the world is not anymore as it was determined by one power center of the world. So the question is how we Westerners look at the challengers. Whether we see the challengers in economy especially as enemies, as a risk, as danger, threat, or opportunity, friends, more possibility. History is history. So the history educates us very clearly. Cooperation and connectivity is always better than isolation and decoupling.
德布勒森是匈牙利第二大城市，这里的汽车工业历史悠久。
I was born in the city of Debrecen, and for a local man like me, it is a very exciting opportunity to see cutting-edge technology coming to this part of our country.
彼得所说的工作机会，是中国企业在当地投资10亿欧元建设的电池工厂。这家工厂将于2026年竣工投产，为欧洲车企供应圆柱电池。匈牙利既有汽车制造产业的传统优势，又有绿色能源转型的政策导向，因此吸引了中国众多新能源汽车的上下游企业进入。
I'm actually very proud that I can work here. Only into research and development, we invest only in this field 20,000 engineers work worldwide. I think it's very unique for a company.
新能源汽车产业合作让匈牙利成为投资热门地。匈塞铁路作为共建“一带一路”的标志性项目，则让匈牙利成为中东欧地区南北互通的一大枢纽。它是中国铁路技术装备与欧盟铁路互联互通技术规范对接的首个项目，全长近350公里，连接匈牙利首都布达佩斯和塞尔维亚首都贝尔格莱德。全线建成后，从布达佩斯到贝尔格莱德将从8小时缩短至3小时。
去匈牙利也有一个说法可以翻译成朋友一起走才能走得更远，就像中国和匈牙利一起走，我相信未来会更好更美。
Well, in 2010, Hungary launched its Eastern opening policy, which is a shift of diplomatic relations of primarily look at the West. So why did you make such a decision, and how do you see the synergy of this policy with China's Beldon Road initiative?
The reason is very simple. 2010,
Congratulations.
we start to cooperate between China and Hungary on the state level as well. When we declared the so-called open to the East new foreign policy project and program of Hungary. So till then, we continue to do so. And the results are obvious. In 2020, 2023, China was the biggest investor here in Hungary. And what I try to do here, which is a special Hungarian laboratorium, may I say, that I try to convince the Western companies and the Chinese companies to come physically, even physically, close together and to operate on the same industrial park basis. So now in Hungary, the biggest project which is going on, an investment on behalf of one of the biggest accumulator factory, CATL.
Right. Green cooperation has been flourishing between the two countries with so many Chinese EV producers building factories here in Hungary or are planning to do so. And you were in Shenzhen last October and you visited some of those companies. So how do you foresee the cooperation between the two countries on that front?
Okay, first of all, what we can bring to that cooperation is basically the well-trained workers. So the Hungarian workers are really outstanding. By education, by discipline, by effectiveness. So we have very good workers and we have very good engineers. So the basis of that cooperation on behalf of Hungary is the human capacity. On the other side, you have the very good technology. You are number one of the field of electromobility at this moment. So, and we are open and we are ready to cooperate with each other. We trust each other as just political, well-based relationship we have. So it was not difficult to convince each other that Hungary could be a good place for the big Chinese company to come and to establish the first electro car factory here in Hungary for the European Union. Because don't forget that we are speaking about just 10 million size inhabited country of Hungary, but we are part of a more than 400 million people single market. So when you invest in Hungary, you invested in Europe. So you can be part of the big European market.
What's your take on some of the European countries who have this concern, the so-called rhetoric of our capacity and some of the investigation going on that launched against Chinese EV producers?
This is bad. And there are some countries, not only Hungary, but some other countries who does not like that approach. So I think we will be able to convince the other countries that this approach, this negative approach, is negative not just for certain countries, but for the whole European Union. Mm-hmm. So we would, I repeat again and again, we should see China as an opportunity, not as risk or a threat. And, you know, if you would like to be the best of the world, you have to be competitive. If you're not competitive, you know, you have to improve yourself, not to block the others. This is the attitude which is good for Hungary. Don't forget that it's 10 million country, and the level of the export of this country is 85% of our GDP, which means that we are a highly export-oriented country. If we don't get a chance to cooperate, there is no connectivity, no market outside, the living standard of Hungary immediately start to decrease. So we need markets, we need cooperation. Okay, come on, let's compete.
So you welcome that?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. It has been about over 2 years since this crisis broke out, and Hungary, as a neighboring country of Ukraine, has experienced many tragic consequences firsthand. So, Mr. Prime Minister, can you elaborate on some of those impacts to your country?
Hungary is the only country which directly opposing the war.
Within the EU?
We are the only one in the West, may I say. So we are the only country who said we will not cooperate, we will not contribute in any war effort.
You veto many of the arms
we vetoed as many things as we can. We don't let any weapon from the territory of Hungary moving to Ukraine, and we don't deliver anything which is related to leather weapons. So those who support the war just prolonging the suffering, because they will not get closer to a victory of any parts or to create a peace by war. It's impossible. So we have to stop it, ceasefire and peace negotiation. So that's the reason why Hungary is characteristically out of the Western community.
No solution in the battlefield, then what do you think? Where is the way out? And 2 years, the peace talks are still in a deadlock. Why is that?
It looks like a war between Russia and Ukraine. We involved ourselves on one side, on the Ukrainian side, I mean the European Union and the United States, and we started to support and we started internationalize the whole conflict. which is a big mistake, and now we are suffering, not just the Ukrainians, but on economic terms as well. The whole world, and especially Europe, is suffering because of that decisions of involvement of ours. So my position is rather critical to the strategy what we are running in Europe to this war.
The global challenges that we are now witnessing is much more profound than before. And you've also said respect is increasingly missing in international diplomacy. So with that context in mind, how do you understand the significance of the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, and the Global Civilization Initiative put forward by President Xi in promoting global peace and prosperity?
So as far as I was able to understand you, I mean the Chinese people, and knowing our own nation, Hungarians, we both think that we would not like to tell anybody how to live their lives. It's very important. This is the basis of respect. And you can't run a country which not follow their own customs. So therefore, it's obvious that if we respect each other, we have to respect each other's cultures, together with the cultural differences, and cultural differences resulted in finally different political systems. And this is the basis of the initiatives of your president internationally. So we highly respected what he tried to do to improve the culture of international politics and attitude of political leaders all over the world. So I think a good example what China shows to the world is very useful, more respect of each other.
Hungary is going to take over the rotating president of EU Council starting from June this year. So what is the priority for you in advancing your agenda, and how do you plan to navigate this kind of complicated dynamics of the China-EU relations?
The European Union is the most complicated creature of the world. Hungary is coming just now from 1st of July to have the European Union to go forward. One issue is the Chinese relation, no question. And my job will be during this half-year presidency to improve the Chinese-European Union trade relation and stop all those attempts which try to limit and push back the quantity and quality of the relationship between China and the European Union. It will be a complicated issue, but I have some good partners. Don't forget that President Xi is coming from Paris. He visited France. France is an enormously big country by European standards, and I think it shows that there are some other countries besides Hungary who would like to improve, even more improve, the relationship between your country and European Union.
Since President Xi is here in Hungary and also he paid a state visit to France and Serbia, how do you understand the significance of this visit in not only enhancing the bilateral relations, but also China-EU relations and maybe even to the development of the world?
It's outstandingly important because the world has changed so many in the last 5 years. So it was the right time and necessary for your president to come personally and to show up, I mean, here in Europe, that China is here, China is present, China is open, China would like to cooperate with you. We are ready to improve our cooperation, and we are ready to create more development even here in Europe. So the visit of your president definitely, especially in France, but in Hungary as well and in Belgrade, can change the mood and can convince the European leaders that China is a possibility and we should stay on a good track and not change for the bad track.
So I want to show you a photo, Mr. Prime Minister. I don't know whether you still remember this. That was
against the British. That's an England-Hungarian football match between the two parliamentarian teams, yeah.
Yes, so this is back to those good days. I know you've been a football enthusiastic for so many years since childhood, and you have even played for a local football league. And a former trainer of you have made this remark saying that you really have the ability to think on the ball.
Wow.
So how do you think this passion for football has influenced you and made the person who you are today?
That the essence of the football is exactly like the essence of politics. Because the question is not where the ball is now. Everybody can see where the ball is now.
Yes.
But the question is where the ball will be.
This is about vision, is thinking ahead.
And to understand of the situation where the ball, the decisive question will come up. And if you are able to identify, looking at the present, where the ball will be in the next moment, you can understand speeder the ongoing developments and the incoming developments as well. And if you understand earlier than others what will happen, you can react first and you can win. That's the essence of the football. That's the reason why a country like Hungary, 10 million people, can play World Cup final 2 times. Because of that.
And
you
also
understand where the ball will be in the future.
The very last question. I'm really curious to know, Mr. Prime Minister, you've been in China many times. You have many Chinese friends. What do you love the most about this country?
Patient.
Patient.
Yeah. So in Europe, everybody is living with the 200 bars blood pressure, you know. So in China, you know, I like that you are not just speaking about harmony. So harmony, patient, respect, look at each other, don't rush, don't miss the important moment of your life just because of rushing always for career or something like that. So interests are important, and following our personal interest is important, but be patient with that. So I get that lesson every visit when I'm in your country.
Mr. Prime Minister, it was a great pleasure talking to you. Thank you again for having us today and for sharing your very insightful views. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you.